We have another live connection right now regarding the Trump and Maduro situation. Don DeBar, activist and commentator, joining us from Ossining, US. Very good to have you, Don. I wanted to talk to you. Well, of course, this was a very tense situation going on right before our conversation. Our correspondent in the West Bank was shot with a rubber bullet. But I wanted to talk to you about the broader strategic objectives behind the US military buildup in the Caribbean. What can you tell us about that?
I, I feel like it's October 1962, and the Soviet Union and the United States are staring down either end of a nuclear barrel. And look at the fact pattern around it, which was a couple of dozen missiles, Soviet missiles that were stationed in Cuba with the permission of the Cuban government, the invitation of the Cuban government, as a matter of fact, and intended as a defense against a repeat of the 1961 invasion by the U.S. of Cuba. John F. Kennedy went on television in October, I think it was October 12th of 1962, and in essence, and it's actually quite specifically said, if these missiles don't come out, we will take them out, and we will consider the firing of any of those missiles against any target in the Western Hemisphere an attack upon the United States by the Soviet Union, leading to a full retaliatory strike. He was threatening nuclear war over it. You have now an oil-producing country that has been exercising its own sovereignty and carving out, to the degree that it could, some space for others in Latin America. They've been laboring under, for 200 years now, the so-called Monroe Doctrine, which is in essence a declaration by the United States that it was the sovereign in the Western Hemisphere and everyone else had to do what they were told, or they would be replaced with someone who would. And Venezuela has been punished by the United States since it began a track of independence in 1998, 1999, with the election of Hugo Chavez as president. There have been elections for president ever since, by the way, and the sitting presidents have won the majority of votes in each case. Nicolas Maduro has been elected, I think it's 3 times now, or he's running for the 3rd time. He's very popular. In 2002, the United States engineered a coup with some of the military who were holdovers from before Chavez's election, and for 2 days held the government, the capital, and all of the media. And the people came down and liberated the presidential palace and restored Hugo Chavez in the face of their own military. Maduro enjoys that kind of support among Venezuelans, and the United States has tried a number of different tacks, including pulling some guy out of the National Assembly that had never won more than a small regional vote and declaring that he was the rightful president of Venezuela, which in turn authorized him to sign away Venezuelan assets in the billions of dollars to U.S. and British oil companies and such. And now, after sanctioning that country for the last 20 years, in essence, since 2002, they are interrupting the flow of maritime traffic in and out of Venezuela, oil trade and other trade, buying food and all the things that you do in international trade markets. And actually pirating the ships. There's one, for example, in Houston right now that's an oil tanker with Venezuelan crude on. Trump has promised, the guy who ran to stop regime change has suggested that Maduro step down, and has promised that there's going to be further escalation of military, including probable, I think is the last term that they used, boots on the ground. Awaiting that is a population in Venezuela organized along the model that was used in Cuba after the 1962 event, where the people themselves are armed and ready to fight a behind the front war with any invaders. There will be very heavy casualties for the U.S. or anyone else that they send in there to try to take over Venezuela. It'll look more like Vietnam than anything. And that's where we're standing right now. I'm just reminded one last thing of 1962 that John Kennedy, talking with his upper circle of people, recorded on tape, as a matter of fact, and memorialized elsewhere, had just read a book by Professor Barbara Tuchman called The Guns of August, wherein she detailed the various missteps that were taken by the four powers, Germany, Britain,
Right.
France, and Russia, that stepped into World War I. And we're seeing the same kind of machinations happen right now with the U.S. leading that dance.
Right, Don, thank you so much. And it was interesting to hear from you on the matter. Don DeBar, activist and commentator, joining us from Ossining, the US.